Dominant communication is more than just what you say. It's how you say it, how you listen, and how you command the energy in a room without even speaking. So here are 8 high-level communication techniques that will equip you to command attention and run the room. Honesty is the cornerstone of any relationship, especially a dom-sub relationship, because trust allows the deep power exchange to flourish. And without honesty, that trust will break down and fast. And then it's going to beckon in paranoia. All right, so we must communicate honestly. But this doesn't mean being a harsh or overbearing. Sharing your truth or being honest shouldn't involve intentionally wounding someone else in the process. All right, now we cannot control someone else's emotions. We cannot control someone else's experience or perception or any of that. That's why I said intentionally. Their feelings might accidentally get hurt. They might accidentally get triggered, whatnot. But if our motivation was pure and we didn't go into it intentionally trying to wound, we're in the clear. All right, so sometimes we do need to confront, we do need to call out, we do need to advocate in ways that may make us or our partner feel uncomfortable. That's life. We can't avoid all unpleasant feelings. At some point, we all are forced to process emotional discomfort. We're forced to process anger, disappointment, triggers, offense, and more. So we can't avoid, and we don't want to operate with any manipulation or deception. But another aspect of communicating honestly is the ability to address hard things in soft ways or confront intense issues with gentleness. But even at the start of the dynamic, be honest. Be clear about your desires, limits, and intentions, because doing so will indicate that you're confident in your role and you're going to take responsibility for the dynamic as the dominant. When something isn't working, speak up before it festers and becomes an issue. Next time you have something to share, address, or correct, try telling your partner about you instead of them. And don't forget to set any boundaries you need. All right, here's an example of what I'm talking about. Let's say you deliberately instructed your submissive to be ready at a certain time for a special business dinner with the high-ups in your company. The submissive stayed out too late with their friends in the afternoon. Unfortunately, they didn't listen. They took too long to get ready, and now you guys are 20 minutes late to that dinner. You're mad. You have every right to be mad. But if we're talking about how to communicate honestly with the most impact, instead of using anger as kind of a block, instead of criticizing and condemning and getting angry and all of this with your submissive, tell them about you. Communicate how disrespected you felt when they chose more time with their friends over obeying your instruction. Express how you don't enjoy being dismissed and undermined that way. And you will need to hear an apology and see some sort of apologetic act to feel comfortable moving forward. Do you see what I mean? Do you see the impact there? You wounded me. Your misbehavior, your disobedient submissive wounded me. I'm telling you about me. I'm not telling you about you. I'm not name calling. I'm not attacking. I'm telling you about me. And a skilled dominant also is not passive. They don't just wait for these issues or problems to arise. They pan out to proactively determine the cause and effect of the actions and interactions within the dynamic. That's why regular check-ins are a necessary aspect of dominant communication. All right, now these check-ins don't have to be long, drawn-out conversations. They can be as simple and easy as moments where you ask your submissive, hey, how are you feeling? How are you doing? Is there anything you want to talk about? How full is your love tank? All of those things. It can be quick, it can be simple, it can be easy. This constant pulse check, so to speak, shows the submissive that you care about their well-being, both in and out of scenes, and communicates not only that you see them and care about them, but that you're prioritizing time and energy to invest in the dynamic. Now, it is both a misconception about dominance and a tool of the powerless that argues the effectiveness of raising your voice. All right, the effectiveness of yelling and screaming and being belligerent. All right, if a dominant must yell and scream and be ridiculous and belligerent and shout to be heard, right? They have to do all of these things. They must intimidate with their words to create any kind of response. They have no real power. Because it's true authority that can walk in a room with quiet confidence and still command attention.
Sit down.
A skilled dominant does not need to shout to be heard. And this is why one of your most potent tools as a dominant is your voice. You naturally command attention and respect when you speak in a low, calm, and deliberate tone.
So you want to be a Sicario?
Lowering your pitch creates an atmosphere of confidence and control, while adding a seductive undertone that can intensify the emotional connection. And a quick pro tip here, instead of raising your voice in moments of intensity or anger, do the opposite. Try lowering it.
Let's talk about your future.
This subtle change can create what I like to call the crazy factor, so to speak, where the other person doesn't know exactly how to read you and they don't know exactly how far you'll go.
You think I'm gonna waterboard you, Bashir? Waterboarding is when we can't torture. This is Africa. I can do whatever the fuck I want here.
Next time you give instructions or engage in a scene, consciously lower your voice. You'll see how it changes the energy in the room, even subconsciously pulling your partner closer to you physically. Remember, your words don't just convey meaning, they evoke feeling. Just as your tone carries weight, so does the pace of your speech. When you slow down, you create a sense of control and intentionality.
You will not survive here. You're not a wolf. And this is the land of wolves now.
And although quick speech can convey excitement or passion, it can also make you seem anxious or uncertain if used in the wrong context. Generally speaking, a slower pace of both speech and gestures shows that you are fully present and in command. And pausing after key statements gives your words time to sink in, making them more meaningful, more powerful, more impactful.
Listen. Nothing will make sense to your American ears. And you will doubt everything that we do. But in the end, you will understand.
This more deliberate pace also allows you the time to think and process in the moment, so you can remain calm and collected, even in heated moments or when mishaps occur during play. So next time you're in a scene or conversation, be mindful of the speed at which you're speaking and practice slowing down, taking measured pauses, and allowing the natural pauses in silence to work in your favor. And one way silence can work in your favor is when you embrace the power of it. In a culture that is overrun with noise and overwhelmed with distractions, silence is one of the most powerful tools at your disposal.
I need you to sign this piece of paper.
In a world filled with constant chatter, the ability to sit comfortably in silence without feeling the need to rush in and anxiously fill gaps in communication can be a profound expression of dominance. Not just that, but security and your level of presence overall. So resist the urge to jump in and say something just to make things less awkward. Silence can create tension, anticipation, and even a sense of intimacy as you hold space and eye contact with your submissive. When you're not rushing to speak, you're allowing your presence to do the talking. And this can be incredibly intense to experience. In fact, most people feel very exposed and vulnerable sitting in silence and holding eye contact because we experience that level of being that seen so rarely. So don't be afraid to allow silence to linger, all right, because it can heighten the emotional and psychological impact of the moment. And it shows that you're not anxious, you're not unsure, you're in full control of yourself, your energy, and the space in which you occupy. Your partner will feel the weight of your authority in the stillness between your words. Optimizing this stillness between your words also involves listening beyond or through words. People choose the words they use for a reason. Yes, these choices reflect knowledge and education, but word choice also intrinsically expresses desire. We say certain words for a reason. We avoid certain words for a reason. And often, what isn't said is just as important as what is said. Body language, tone, hesitation, size, and silence, and more all carry meaning. Developing the ability to pick up on these cues allows you to connect with your submissive on a deep, deep level because you can adjust your approach in real time as you lean into the energy of the moment.
Thank you.
You remind me of someone very special to me.
Do you pick up on these subtle shifts? It can be tricky sometimes. And if you struggle with noticing these things, start by asking yourself, does their tone match their words? Or do they seem embarrassed or like they're holding something back? You spend time with your submissive, you know you're submissive. So if you sense something's being left unsaid, something's off, gently invite your submissive to open up. You might say, is there anything else on your mind? Or, I noticed a shift in your energy. Let's talk about that. This level of attentiveness makes your partner feel seen, heard, and valued, and will undoubtedly maximize the power gap in your dynamic. And another way you maximize this power gap is by demonstrating that you are truly confident and truly powerful and truly secure by being able to hear feedback without getting defensive or dismissive. Whoo, this is a big one because insecure leaders feel the need to defend every action, everything they do. If you confront an insecure leader, a powerless leader, you're gonna hit a nerve. And it might cause them to get defensive, to dismiss you, to blame shift, to minimize your feelings, all of that. But a skilled dominant, a secure dominant, a skilled dominant, a truly powerful dominant understands that criticism and feedback are part of growth. They're unavoidable aspects of leadership. All right, if you want to be constantly liked, don't be a leader. Don't step into a leadership position. If you need constant accolades and everyone to like every decision you ever make and approve of everything you ever do, don't be a leader. Because leadership involves the nasty stuff, the nasty emotional stuff that you have to face when you're growing, when you're leading, when you are managing a person or a group of people. All right, so when your submissive brings up a concern, listen without interrupting and consider their words through the lens of their perspective before responding. Practicing this level of empathy will empower you to drop defensiveness and show that you're secure in your role, and you're willing to make adjustments for the sake of your dynamic if necessary. You're secure enough to lead, but humble enough to adjust if you need to. So, focus on solutions instead of responding to criticism or concerns with justification, defensiveness, or blame shifting, okay? Instead of, I'm right and I need to prove it to you, ask yourself, how can we, as a team, troubleshoot this together? When you can remember that you and your partner are on the same team, you're united, okay? You can turn potential conflict into an opportunity for deeper trust, collaboration, and unity. And finally, dominance, don't overshare. Don't overshare, okay? We opened this video talking about the value of honesty, and this point is absolutely not meant to contradict that, okay? I'm not talking about sneaking around behind your partner's back. I'm not talking about ghosting or ignoring. I'm not talking about a dictator with a one-sided information flow. I'm talking about leaning into the erotic power of mystery. While honesty is essential, oversharing can quickly dilute your power as a dominant because it keeps the submissive in a cerebral state, often subconsciously lessening the power gap because the submissive can mentally predict and emotionally prepare for play instead of being overwhelmed by the moment, by an experience they cannot control, okay? So maintaining a sense of mystery and unpredictability keeps the dynamic exciting and intensely arousing for the submissive and likely for you as well, dominant. So don't hide behind your dominance. Don't use it as an excuse to be cold and distant. Don't justify your emotional neglect as dominant behavior, okay? But know that a little mystery goes a long way in maintaining the authority and respect inherent in the dominant role, especially when it comes to your plans for play. This is a big one. I hear so many beautiful, good-hearted, well-intended dominants try to discuss every possible angle of the scene to get consent point by point. And you might get consent, but you're gonna kill every ounce of erotic interest or arousal in the process. And that's why I say it's so important to build your fence line through thorough negotiation so that you as a dominant know exactly where you're allowed to play. Where can you explore without having to give the submissive a complete rundown of your scene? That's gonna ruin all elements of surprise. So a skilled dominant knows how to balance transparency with the allure of the unknown. So effective dominance is about far more than giving commands. It's about how you communicate through words, tone, presence, and even silence. By mastering these high-level communication techniques, you'll not only deepen the trust and connection with your submissive, but you'll also strengthen your own authority and presence. So be sure to download my Erotic Communication Bundle on Patreon and get everything you need to communicate like a dominant. Because when you do, every word and every pause becomes part of your mastery.